Hi, everybody. Matt Lawton here, and this is the Astrological Winds channel. I'm going to take a look at the astrological weather report for the week of October 14th through 20th. And I just want to let you guys know we've got an intense week ahead for us. And this is the center of it: a full moon at 25 degrees Aries in a Cardinal Grand Cross with Mars, Pluto, Juno, Eris, and Chiron all involved too. So we've got a very intense week ahead. Few other things to talk about too. Just a little business first. The Astrological Winds channel is a free video blog that I do on YouTube. And if you have a YouTube account and you like what you see, I'd really like you to become a follower. And don't forget to turn your notifications on when you do that. And you'll get the message every week when the blog is posted. Also, like to remind everyone, it was a podcast long before it was a video blog and YouTube channel, and it is still available on podcast too. Buzzsprout puts it out. It's picked up by about 20 different podcasts. Just go to one of those podcast carriers like Apple iPodcasts, and you can just look up Astrological Winds channel, and you should be able to find it out there. And that frees you up, if you don't want to see the video and any of this, you know, you can be freed up to just hear the audio when you're doing other things, which I know, you're in traffic or whatever. It's a great time to listen to the podcast. Also, we do have it set up on Instagram, also the Astrological Winds channel. So, like, if you're an Instagram person, you can be a follower there and it'll come up on your newsreel. Sometimes I post extra comments on Instagram too during the week. I know I haven't been doing it too much lately, but sometimes I do. It gets a little bit of extra there, and that's always just in comment form, not a video or audio. Also is available on my private Facebook page, which is Matthew at 2T's Lawton, Lauten. So friend me there, and it'll end up in your newsreel once I approve your friending. But the best place to find it also, besides YouTube, is on my website, www.astrologicalwinds.com. And I embed every blog there, and I keep them up for a few months. So if you miss one and you want to go back to like the monthly or whatever, you can go back and refer to them there. So it's a great place. It brings you right over. And the also other great thing about that is that's my professional astrology website. So when you're ready for a reading, or someone you know that's ready for a reading, my whole menu is there. The prices are there. All kinds of different readings available. I've been doing readings professionally for over 20 years. I was trained for 7 years to do it professionally before that. So a lot of really great results with working with people. If you're a professional and you need monthly or weekly or daily readings, please get in touch with me. My contact is on the website. It's also right here, matthuehu3@gmail.com. Now, remember, this is a free service. If you'd like to give a donation, any amount is not small and is not too small. And here's my Venmo and my Cash App spots. And if you put in $5, it puts you in for a free raffle to or a raffle to win a free reading, I should say, or a $5 one at the end of the year. And also remember, the thing I really ask everyone to do, since I'm offering this free service, and I know a lot of you have done it, and I'm asking you to do it again, is to pass the link on to somebody else. And I love to let it grow that way. I feel it's a very organic, real way to get through to people who really would appreciate the blog. And I know there's a bunch of you out there. It keeps growing. Really appreciate all you guys and all your support. Okay, this week's an intense one. And if you remember, at first, I want to apologize last week about the last 3 minutes of the blog got clipped off just as I was summarizing it, and I didn't feel like I wanted to go back and redo it. The microphones actually ran out of batteries, so like technological issue there. Got to be a little bit more on top, I guess, of always making sure they're fully charged. But anyway, I was talking last week about, like, on Sunday, how we had that sun opposite Chiron and Mars was opposite Chiron also. And that's what I want to start off again with this week, because today on Monday, the sun is exactly square Mars. And so, like, that's a T square that's going on there, a cardinal T square. You have the sun square Mars and opposite Chiron, and Mars is square Chiron. So it's like I said, it kind of got cut off there at the end. But this is very intense energy, today on the sun square Mars. This is very, very, it brings up a lot of energy, especially that we can tap into physically, but it's very subjective energy. It's very egotistically driven energy. It's very hard to get anyone to match your interest level in what you're putting your energy into today. So this is a day where I really recommend that you work on your own projects, because it's going to be very difficult for anyone to keep pace with you. And if they don't, what happens is we get very angry, irritated, upset with those who can't keep up with this pace. So this is like very potent still. Like I said, we had like that Sun Chiron opposition yesterday and the Mars square Chiron yesterday too. And so the Sun square Mars is today. And this, a lot of this too is going to be just seeing where our own actions hurt us, where our own decisions hurt us, where we're not adapting well to what's going on around us, how we create our own roadblocks and blockages to our own actions by the decisions that we make. And a lot of them are because we're being like too impulsive. We're overreacting to situations. Basically, it's hitting almost like our instinctual stuff, and we're feeling really defensive. And we have to really understand that our actions right now are not, they're going beyond assertive. They're going into an aggressive zone, many of them. And that can bring up a lot of conflict with others, when we're being pushy and other people are being pushy. And it's interesting too, because, like I said, there's Chiron is showing there's a lot of pain involved. And I'll tell you, you look at what's going on in the world right now, it's very fitting of this energy, when you even bring it up to like from the individual to the group to the nation, and you see all this conflict in the world. That's what this T square is about. It's a cardinal T square too. So people are upset and they're going to take action. This is the kind of energy where you can get that lone wolf kind of action, or you can get just people who are in conflicts, bring them up to another level where there's very little thought going on. It's just like instinctual defensive behavior patterning that we're acting and reacting to. And so, like, it goes way beyond being assertive and initiating into the energy of just being very aggressive, temperamental, conflict driven, that kind of thing. And even if we can control this energy, and the best way to do that is to work alone on something that you can put physical energy into, it doesn't mean that we have any control over other people we may meet. And and so we have to be very understanding that, even if we can control the turmoil inside ourselves, that if we go out, that other people may project their anger, if they're not as conscious as we are in trying to control that they may be projecting their anger on it. But everybody is feeling like, with Sun Chiron and Mars Chiron, like they're fighting for a cause that they believe in, and so it's very difficult to separate our beliefs from our ego and our drive and our will right now. So this is it creates a lot of division, this energy. It creates a lot of conflict. And so that's why I mean, like right now, when you look at the way the world is right now, it's just going to ratchet up, most likely, a lot of these very intensely violent events, like the wars that are going on right now. It can be the kind of thing where the lone wolf is so upset with things that he acts out on that kind of thing. But this is something where, once again, when you look at the open end of the T square, it's out in Capricorn, and it's saying, hey, you know, don't throw out all the structures, because if you do, you're going to create complete chaos. But like a lot of those structures do need reforming, and that's where we can take the Sun Mars energy and the Mars Chiron energy and the Sun. Once we see through the Sun Chiron lens what those places are that need that energy, then we can take that action, that activated energy of the Sun and Mars, and try to work on those places where it's feeling that kind of hurt and pain, and where things have been blocked and been causing us so much struggle these days. And we can see that going on in the world, in our personal lives, in our friends' lives, in our communities, in our nations, that things are so much at a struggling point right now. And it's so hard, it seems, to get through certain things that are blocking us. So this can, this can be a time where it can be very hard for people who are looking for that balanced, harmonious solution, the peacemakers, because people are just in so much conflict, and they are reaching these really apex points where that cardinal energy is just feeling like they have to do something about it, initiate. And a lot of that is coming out of anger. Now, Venus has before we go to the full moon on Thursday, and then there's one little thing I want to talk about a bit on the weekend too. Venus is having a very interesting week, and Venus is having, thankfully, pretty much a better week for the most part. It's getting near the end of Scorpio, and therefore, because remember, I've been saying this for weeks now, all three of the outer planets are at the end of their signs. So, like, Venus getting near the end of Scorpio means it's going to aspect all those three planets, and then it's going to change signs this week and go into Sagittarius. So today, on Monday, is the first of the three aspects, and it's actually the one that's the most difficult. It's Venus opposite Uranus, and I really think it's going to play right into this energy that I was just talking about with the Sun, Mars, and Chiron. It's going to feed the more individualistic energy again. When Venus is opposite Uranus, we rebel against any person who we feel is restricting us. And that can be authority, that can be people who are close to us. We can really shake up partnerships, any partner that we feel is holding us back. In any kind of relationships, we can really upset the apple cart. We want something new. We want a new experience with a new person. And we really don't care too much how that's affecting other people who, that we're upset with, and we're kind of reacting to that at that point. So this can be a little bit of a troublesome one, and especially when it combines with that Sun and Mars, it can feed that, like, yes, I'm just ready to, just walk away from all this, like just throw this all out, and then make this sudden impulsive action that we may end up regretting. But it does favor short-term connections. Like, we may make some short-term connection today or tomorrow that's very stimulating, brings us into a new place, and it's exciting. But usually they're very short-term. They come and go very quickly. They can be from an unreliable kind of source. Now, also a day to be careful with the way we're spending or using our money, okay? Because we can get very impulsive with our money with Venus Uranus too, and then regret it quickly. Also, another way to manifest this energy of needing something new with Venus is doing something new creatively, something new that's kind of cutting edge for you, some kind of art that's got, that edgy feeling that you're feeling incorporated into it, or to even go experience some kind of art, maybe some kind of music show where the energy is very, intense, or something instead, just to try to get something out, something different, So Monday, like I said, is a very intense day. We really have to watch the way we act and other people react. And if we can work alone, it would really be best. But it has to be something physical too. If we try to sit still for too long, we're going to start getting upset and irritated. Now, Tuesday, Venus's journey continues when it trines Neptune. And this is a really beautiful one. This is really nice. This gets people wanting to get more deep with one another, more intimate with one another, more like it's a soulmate kind of connection that flows very harmoniously, right? It's like the connection of like conditional love that we have for each other as humans with unconditional love, with, you know, the spiritual love of having tolerance and compassion and empathy for others and where they're coming from, and really wanting to spread that energy around. And when we're in relationships that are in a good flow right now, we can really feel like our ideals are being appealed to, and we really want to deepen those relationships. And it does feel like it's a soulmate type of connection. Now, we also, once again, can get a lot of good inspiration and imagination on the artistic creative side. We may not do too much with it today, but we can really, like, you know, get a lot of inspiration through art. So like if we're feeling like that, it would be something good. It's also a good day to connect with nature, you know, or your spiritual journey, something like that, you know. Um, and then Thursday, before I talk about the full moon, I want to talk about Venus's completion of its journey this week. By Thursday, Venus is right at the end, get ready to go. I got to say into Scorpio and getting ready to go into Sag. And remember, what did Pluto do? It just stationed direct last week, right? Right on the 30th degree of Capricorn. So Venus is going to actually sextile Pluto right before it goes into Sag on Thursday. And I think, once again, this is really good. It will take the energy of that Venus Neptune trine that I just talked about, like making some of those connections deeper, and it can hone in and single in on a person or group or persons where you can really allow your passion out, allow the emotional depth to come out in relationships. Now, obviously, this is great for romantic relationships. It really can be a deep sharing of passionate emotions, but like any kind of experience that you have with people can have a more emotionally enriching energy to it on Thursday and really help you connect with one another on a deep emotional level too. And also takes, like, at that point can take some of the creative imagination and inspiration and ideas it may have gotten under Venus, Uranus, and Venus, Neptune, and start to produce some profound creative works with it, you know, artistic output, if you want to take that. And it also can even bring up financial opportunities, especially from people that are in power and have more assets and more money than you do. You may get some kind of break from one of them. So like I really think that, you know, it's a, you know, a really interesting journey for Venus this week, and it's the best thing going on this week. And then right after that, sextile on Pluto on Thursday, it goes into Sagittarius. And that's a complete change from that place where Venus has been in Scorpio the last 3 weeks, where everything feels really heavy and deep and dramatic and passionate in our relationships. And that's why Venus can feel like a little bit uncomfortable in Scorpio, why she's in detriment there. And so now going into Sagittarius, Venus can get very extroverted. The pace of our social life can really start to pick up. And of course, in the Western world, the holidays start to come in this time of the year, and it's almost like it naturally fits in with that. But like Venus in Sag is vivacious. She wants to go out and relate to a lot of people, and she's got this great live and let live attitude. Does not want to have her freedom curtailed upon in any way, and is giving that freedom to others too. It's like I said, a very, very good live and let live attitude, and we will only rebel against those who try to restrict us in any way, right? But we're very, very tolerant of each other's faults and weaknesses when Venus goes into Sag. So, you know, really, like, you know, really helps us on that. And then once again, we may seek out new forms of art, new forms of creativity that are very inspiring to us, that really open up our creative intellectual kind of output and inspiration, and also new investments too. We may be willing to take some risks on some riskier investments during this time where we see something that may work really well. So now let's get to the main event of the week. And this one is right here on this board. And, there's the shape of what this full moon is forming. It's forming what we call a Grand Cross. And, you can see the cross in there. A Grand Cross is 2 oppositions and 4 squares. So it's like 4 different points all being drawn together in a 4th harmonic, which is a harmonic of stress and tension. Well, we got the full moon at 25 degrees Aries right here, and it is conjunct Chiron and the body Eris, which is the body of chaotic change. And there, full moon means it's always opposite the sun, which is in Libra, right? So there's a lot of our conflict right there, the Aries versus Libra, where the emotions are really pushing for some new adventure, come hell or high water. Doesn't matter what the effect is on our loved ones and other people. This is all about us, or me, pushing for what I want. So it's a very insensitive sign when the moon is in Aries. It's very triggered by its own instinctual survival reflexes. So that really, at many times, is not really taking into account how what we do and what we're putting out there, what that effect is on other people. And then the sun in Libra is sitting there wanting to connect with the other in grace, in beauty, in harmony, in peace. So that's where the conflict of this full moon of Aries comes in. That's where the opposition comes in. But there's a lot more energy that's tied up in this Grand Cross. When a Grand Cross is happening, you guys, that means there are so many issues being pulled on us at the same time that it like feels like life has just reached this like major stress point, and it can be very scattering because we're not really clear which of the issues should take priority. They all should, it seems like. And so that can really, like, if we run around trying to deal with this one a little bit and that one a little bit and that one, then it's all only creating more and more tension and stress. And we're feeling that inside, and we're getting all this turmoil inside. And then we project that outside, and events start to occur that are very distressing, or it affects our relationships because we're projecting that turmoil on the inside to the outside, and then it starts to upset the apple cart of the Libra relationships, and all of a sudden we're trying to make apologies, or or we're at all out war with one another. You back Libra into a corner, and you find out that that energy can really come out fighting. So it's a very, very intense energy just wrapped in that normal full moon, between those two very different needs in conflict with one another, right? And the sensitivity of the Libra versus the insensitivity of the moon. Now, you add this in too. The moon is conjunct both Chiron and Eris. Where is that anger coming from? The moon Chiron is saying it's actually coming from wounds. It's coming from actually way down inside. We're feeling hurt. We're feeling wounded, and we're not able to get that out. The moon in Aries will take what's hurt and turn that into anger and shield what's hurt with anger. So this moon right now is feeling very hurt. And then it goes to Eris, where it's actually a partile conjunction. They're right on top of each other. And that is just causing these churning, turbulent emotions within us that feel really chaotic. And that's where we'll go and initiate aggressive actions in this Aries energy that can hurt others. And with Juno conjunct the sun on the other side, that means we could really be hurting our partnerships. Now, what's really interesting about that Juno Sun conjunction earlier in the week when it's exact, it's on the same time as the Venus Neptune trine. So on that day, especially for people who are forming new partnerships, that soulmate energy is really bringing people together, especially in Libra, where you're willing to be so giving and harmonious. But by the time the full moon comes in, anyone who you're in a partnership with, all these angry feelings inside, you can easily project out onto that partnership and do serious damage to it. So beware of this energy that's going on. And then this Mars is still up here too. So one part of the Grand Cross where the four squares start to come in is Mars. Now Mars is the ruler of this full moon too. It's the ruler of Aries, and it's squaring the moon in Aries. So Mars is actually giving the gift of that Aries assertive to aggressive survival instinct, adventure energy to that moon. It's feeding it even more Mars energy, is my point. And then it's in a square to that moon and to the sun. And it's in an opposition to Pluto. And what does that? And then Mars is really weak in Cancer too. This is a Mars that's feeling really threatened, you guys. We're feeling threatened inside. We all need to come to terms. Mars in Cancer, we're feeling threatened that our needs might not be met. That's where we're feeling a lot of these distraught feelings inside that are actually sadness, but we're reacting angrily. Look at the two political parties in this country right now and how it's just all anger, but there's the pain underneath that they're both sharing. But they both want to do it their own way, right? So Mars in Cancer, when it feels like it's not getting what it needs, it circles the wagons. It holds the resources. It gets very conservative. It's like, this is for me and my loved ones only. You stay out. And it does that on a national and societal scale too. So countries will react like this too. I'm not listening to you, our own allies, right? I'm not listening to you. This is what we need to do to protect ourselves, right? We need to kill people if necessary, acts of violence if necessary, right? All the very most instinctual Mars energy is being triggered by this full moon. It is going to be very, very hard not to act out of our survival instinct, to just allow that survival instinct to override our intellect, take over our emotions, forget our spiritual compass, overreact, get aggressive, get into conflict. It's going to be very difficult to steer this. And then the last aspect that this moon is making is the square to Pluto. And I tell you, this is where you can get into serious destructive power struggles, victim perpetrator stuff going on nonstop between you and the other, or the other country, or some other belief system within your country. Does this sound like our world right now, you guys? It is reaching a breaking point. I can tell you right now, this week is very sensitive. There may be some very intense things that happen in the world this week that could push us to some very dangerous places. It's very hard to be conscious with this energy. The Libra sun is the only thing really trying to hold on to something where it's like, can we be diplomatic? Can we work something out? Can we have an agreement? Can we all try to get along? But it's under assault from Pluto. Violent, turbulent, transformational change from Mars, stuck on the individual's instinct to try to survive, and the moon, the emotional distraughtness that we're feeling inside and feeling cardinal. We have to do something about it now. Overreactions, emotional overreactions. What do we do with this, right? What we do with it is, first of all, we find something that we are personally is really important to us, and realize that it may not be able to be shared with anyone else on that energy level, that we have to put that energy into it, focus that energy if we want to transform this. So something you can work on alone, something you can physically work on alone. Don't just try to sit around and do this, but trying to find ways to form those deeper partnerships once we work through all of this stuff. This is very intense energy. This is the kind of energy that can make the lone wolf act and can make countries just go at each other's throats. And we're in a world right now where a lot of that stuff is very prevalent. So, I don't see like the light of enlightenment being turned on this week. We have to be very, very conscious of what's going on, or we can create total destruction of our own life, and put ourselves in emotional distress for a long time, block our own actions, and end up in super duper power struggles that can get ruthless. We need to open up to creative transformation. We need to purge out the old stuff, rebuild systems, focus our energy on the things that we do best in order to get out of this. This is not going to be an easy week. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. And remember, Venus is making some nice aspects this week, so we can find some deep connections with others. Now, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. On the weekend, both Uranus and Neptune are in a sextile right now, right? Near the end of their sign. So the sun is going to quincunx both of them, just like Mercury did last weekend. And so that means the sun is on the long midpoint of Uranus Neptune. And a lot of times that stuff can be a little bit more fateful, so this can make us very, very sensitive once again to what's going on, but we can also be very impressionable. We have to be very careful of what energies we're allowing into our subconscious and unconscious. We can easily become followers. Like, it's hard to remember history, sometimes, and there were a lot of people who thought Hitler was going to do a really good thing for them for 10 or 15 years before it all happened. And then when everything went down, they found themselves kind of in a position where they realized they allowed themselves to be influenced because their first survival instincts were being triggered. And this energy of this quincunx says, these double quincunx of Uranus Neptune says, be careful. Be careful of the road you're taking yourself down right now, because we can really find out that we've been manipulated when we were in a position where we were like sensitive and allowing other energies to drive us to a point. And so this can be a very difficult time to communicate how we're feeling inside too. So really just trying to keep ourselves away from negative influences, because if you don't, it can really undermine your confidence. And that's when you'll be willing to give your power up to someone else. There's a restlessness inside that's hard to put a finger on because of all the changes that we're going through. But when it's a double quincunx like that on a midpoint, it's saying trust that you can just allow those changes to go through. And at the end of it, you're going to be freed from some of the responsibilities you have now. And they are tied into some of the things that have been blocking you. So it will be a release, but it's really hard to see how that's going to come out right now. All right. So overall, we all live in this world. We can see how it's really been building up to some wild stress points. And this week is one of those times with this full moon where there's so much unconscious driven energy, so much emotional stuff being denied for so long that people are just gonna feel this energy of needing to do something about it. And if you overreact and get aggressive, you're going to end up probably in a lot of conflict and a lot of destruction. Remember, one of the things when there is so many issues going on with the Grand Cross, and it may not seem like they're connected, if you can focus in on one, use the sun and moon Mars once again to do your own thing and focus in on one, even the Pluto, use that great focus. It can begin to release the stress points in the others too. Everything is connected, even if we don't see it. So if you run around and try to take care of like 10 different things that are falling apart at the same time, probably none of them are going to be saved. But if all of a sudden you're like, this is what I'm feeling this week, I need to work on, I need to fix this hole in the roof, whatever it is, that's just an analogy, right? Then you may find out that once you do that, the electrical connection started to work right again. You know what I mean? Like if you can focus on one, then all of a sudden it starts to align the energy of many of the other issues. And it can help us find the way to start to approach them too. So that would be the best way to handle this energy, this very intense energy this week. All right, that's what I got for this week. This is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. I would like you to pass the link on right now to somebody else. If you want to give a donation, nothing is too small. There's my Venmo handle, my Cash App handle. If you give $5, it puts you in to win a free reading at the end of the year. Also, please support me when you're ready to get a reading done. And if you haven't had your chart done yet, and you're watching the blog, you can see how important this stuff is. Well, your chart is with you your whole life. So get the reading done by either me or someone who's professional. And there's a lot of other services there. Like I said, if you're a professional person, you want weekly and monthly and daily consultations on your life, your business, whatever's going on. I'm available for things like that too. Please email me, matthuey823@gmail.com. If you have a group that's looking for some kind of lecture, class, readings, things like that, same thing, email me. We can talk about that. And I just recently had 2 people express interest in being students. And I've said this before. If there's 2 more of you out there and there's 4, I consider doing a live student thing once a week. Otherwise, I do have classes available that I've done as lectures and written material. So if you're interested in that, I have 2 people who are interested right now. Please get in touch with me and let me know, and we can maybe try to figure something out for that. All right, you guys, next week we're going to talk about the sun going into Scorpio, getting deep into that Scorpio season where the worlds get very close to one another, the spirit world, the underworld, and the middle worlds. And there's a lot of access, a lot of spiritual energy moving around. So we can be ready for that next week. And like I said, try to do the best you can with this very difficult energy this week. Just realize, maybe your only respite may be some of the people that you're feeling closest to, that most other relationships are going to be difficult. And if you can work alone on something that you can really focus this energy on, make sure there's something physical involved in it, I think that would be the best way to use this very, very trying week. And I will see you all next week, and we'll see what changes the world has gone through. Like I told you guys, when Pluto went back into Cap for just these few weeks, it was going to be an intense time. And this is just showing that that's continuing. Take a look at your news feed, and all of us know what I mean here. So I will see you guys all next week. Be determined, be willful. That's a great word for this, is determination. You drop the ball, you pick it up again, right? You give up a shot, you give up a goal, you go down and you try to do it again. It's the same thing in life, you guys. It's like, if you know your intention's good, you just keep acting, and it may be failure after failure. You just keep going. That's what this is. That's the key to this energy this week, is determination, willfulness. And cardinal energy, Aries energy, has willfulness. So use it. Use it well. I'll see y'all next week.